Whittaker Weekly is a 3-episode-in anime discussion podcast where two brothers discuss a show of their choice. The show can be anything from a current season flop to a decades-old classic. What are they going to talk about next? Who knows? They sure don't. I'm Andrew.
I'm Lee.
And this is Whittaker Weekly. Let's get right to it. Just diving into the news real fast. This week, kind of had a bittersweet bit of news. Mm-hmm. This week was the 12th anniversary of Robert Jordan's passing, the creator of The Wheel of Time and many other fantasy series. But it's also the first day of principal photography filming for the Wheel of Time series with Amazon. And it just kind of was kind of fascinating that it coincided like that. Listeners, real fast, the light around me might just be, or like not listeners, viewers, the light around me might be kind of screwing up. I got a light bulb that's going in and out, and there you see now it's back on. Don't know why. It might be loose, but I'll have to check it when I get the chance. But anyways, next bit of news, something that I just learned the other day, is that it looks like The Far Side, the classic one-panel comic that formed the humor for an entire generation, along with Calvin and Hobbes. The Far Side might be coming back.
I remember still, it was about, 19, 20 years ago, that for Christmas, our parents got me the complete Far Side series as a book set, as a 2-book package set, and I remember it fondly, with air quotes, because I went over to reach for the package to open it up Christmas morning, and I had never had to lift up a package that heavy before, and it wasn't until after I tried to, straight arming it that I was warned, that one's going to be a little heavy. Don't pick that one up that way. And I actually strained my shoulder that morning.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but if you go to thefarside.com, there's a picture in the classic Far Side art of a guy with a flamethrower unfreezing a glacier that has the figure, or that has classic characters from Far Side comics in the ice cube, in the chunk of ice. Yes. And underneath it says, uncommon, unreal, and soon to be unfrozen. A new online era of the Far Side is coming. Not sure if that means there's going to be more comics. Not sure if that means it's going to be an online web series, kind of like the short-lived cartoon that existed for a while. But a lot of people are saying that, we could really use his awkward, weird humor so we can learn to laugh at ourselves again.
That'd be great.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, so that's it for the news. Let's just go ahead and get right into 3 episodes in.
All right.
And it was your pick this week.
It was my pick this week. And so this week, we watched Boarding School Juliet, the first 3 episodes. So this anime is exclusively on Amazon Prime at the moment. And Amazon Prime has the following synopsis. At Dahlia Academy, a prestigious boarding school on a remote island, students from 2 feuding countries battle each other every day. However, Romeo Inuzuka, the leader of the Towa dorm, and Juliet Persia, the leader of the West dorm, start a secret relationship.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go ahead and just get started. And it starts off with the 2 classes, the black dogs, or the black doggies. They all in black, and they're all very, very Asian looking. You can assume that they're from Japan, but really the Towa is more of a combination of all of Asia. Mm-hmm. You'll run across students later on. They're in the opening credits, but the little girls who are in Chinese dresses, they're actually, they're pretty.
So they're a melding pot of all Far East cultures.
Mm-hmm. And the other school, the West, it's very much based like the words and things are very much based in Germany, if I recall correctly. But again, it's just kind of a melting pot of all of Europe. So it's Europe versus Asia.
Yes.
Is what's going on here.
Yes. And so
the White Cats are all in white uniforms.
They are all in white uniforms, and a lot of them have, European features, blue eyes, blonde hair, whereas everyone on Towa seems to have darker hair colors and darker eye colors. But they're not, strictly speaking, all brown, and some of them look like they may have clearly look like they're bleaching themselves, and that isn't naturally blonde. One of the punk kids has a bleach mohawk. But they all tend to have darker eyes, like browns and purples and
reds,
things like that. Reds.
Whereas the people from the West, they're blonde, brunettes. I think one or two might be redheads, white colored hair, and and light colored eyes. Yeah. So, and it starts off with these two groups fighting. There's a massive brawl in the middle of the schoolyard.
Yep.
And then
the prefects come in to stop it. But during the brawl,
we both wrote this down, but we're introduced to Romeo and Juliet. And for those of you who are familiar with Romeo and Juliet, don't worry, this is a romantic comedy, not a tragedy. Okay, yes. This is very much a comedy, and it's delightful. Kind of on the level where it's like Shakespearean tomfoolery in the comedy.
Now, this isn't our first Romeo and Juliet based anime comedy. And we also did Nisekoi a couple months back.
Yeah.
But Nisekoi had a different premise in terms of why the main couple were together.
Yeah, they were forced to be together.
This one is closer to Romeo and Juliet in that they are both members of feuding parties.
The two countries used to be at war for a very long time, and then when they came to a ceasefire, they both colonized this island at the same time and made the school so they could have like a peace treaty and a meshing of cultures. But both sides are just like, this is just a temporary thing. Like, you are not to make friends with these people. So that's the environment they grew up in. They're they're clashing, and they fight on an almost daily basis. We see. And Romeo is the leader of the Black Dogs, and Juliet is the leader of the White Cats. And they're about to fight, but it cuts to Romeo, and even though he's just been challenged by Juliet, we see inside that Romeo doesn't want to fight her because he's in love with her. He has this inner monologue where he is torn that he doesn't want to hurt her or see her get hurt because he's in love with her. And he's been in love with her for a very long time, since grade school type thing. And now they are first-year high school students. Or, it's first-year high school students. But anyways, they, before they're able to clash, another guy comes up, grabs Juliet's hands, and says, "Don't worry, I'll protect you, Persia-sama." Juliet Persia, I think her full name is.
Juliet is her given name. Persia is the family name, and in this culture, in most anime, they go by family name unless there's too many people of the same family name, and then sometimes first name's appropriate. But usually first name usage denotes a high level of familiarity.
So he says, "Don't worry, I'll protect you," and a couple other things.
Yeah.
But
Romeo, I would die to protect you.
Yeah, I would die to protect you. And then Romeo says, "Then die," and punches him right in the face.
He has the most punchable face in the show.
Oh yeah. Oh no, like this Scott.
Freaking Scott.
Scott gets everything that he deserves. I've read the entire manga. Dear viewers and listeners, I've read the entire manga start to end. I know what's going to happen to the characters, and seeing Scott get punched never gets old. I'll just say that. Seeing Scott get punched never gets old. He
especially
always
does in the middle of episode 2.
Just jumping ahead just a little bit, but Romeo is trying to talk to Juliet in secret, so he has climbed up to the second story of the school, peeking into the girls' gym room, and they're chatting, And she's like hiding behind the curtain, but they're still chatting. He's trying to give her a present because he learned that, you know, one way to show affection to someone in the West is to give them your rosary. So he bought a rosary and he's trying to give it to her. And before he's able to give it to her, he hears this voice, "Yes, Romeo, do tell why you're up here." And he looks over, and right at the very next window is Scott pressed against the wall, holding his way up there as well.
That's not the reason why Scott needs to be punched, though, in my opinion.
No.
No, the other thing that happened in episode 2 that is the reason Scott deserves to be punched is a scene involving Juliet in disguise.
Oh, yeah.
And he comes running, goes, like, I just see a couple of 2 stupid black doggies. I could swear I smelled Persia around here somewhere. Like, ugh.
Yeah. He finds her by her scent. But anyways, so let's instead of skipping ahead, let's go back to where we were. They get into a fight, and Romeo pretty much just refuses to fight Juliet, and Juliet gets upset by it because she doesn't think he's taking her seriously.
Yeah.
Then the prefects come in and break up the fight, and we cut to Romeo, who is taking out his aggression. People think he's taking out his aggression for, not being able to take out Juliet that day, but really he is, or
he's lamenting his inability to express his true feelings for the girl he likes, and he's taking out a brick column with his bare fist.
He's eventually he breaks it down, he hits it and it falls over eventually, and this is a support pillar.
Fist, and I'm pretty sure his forehead was involved too.
Oh yeah, it reminded me a lot of Steph from No Game No Life. Not as bloody as Steph, but yeah.
Steph's amazing forehead.
We cut to he decides he wants to learn more about her, spies on her in the gym, and she is just this incredible swordswoman. Defeats another student like he's nothing, barely breaking a sweat. Scott comes up with a towel, offers it to her, talking about how amazing she is, and she's like, "Well, no, it's just that I need the strength in order to change the world."
She says. She also says that how frustrated she is about Romeo, about Inuzuka, always teasing her and never fighting her seriously. And she gets so frustrated, she rips the towel in half. And Scott's like, "Oh, my towel!"
But it cuts to Romeo, who is watching from the outside, and he is he's crestfallen because he doesn't hear what she says, and he says that I didn't hear what she says, but I know she's angry at me. He could tell that it was at him.
Yep.
So he and so he goes off, and then we come across the Three Stooges.
Oh,
they are punks dressed up. They're the ones who have the bleached blonde hair and the mohawks and things like that. One of them has got his hair dyed red. One has
absolute Yankees.
Yeah, complete Yankees. One has an earring that is actually a lock.
A lock. When I see him, I just want to rip that lock right out of his ear.
Yeah. Anyway,
he's not a good person.
Yeah. Anyway, they have come up with a plan to
avenge their friend.
To avenge their friend and take out Juliet. And one of them hands the other a mask. Before that, there's something that I wrote. Some of the white cats grabbed some of the black dog grade schoolers because they were spray painting on the doors of the white cat dorms.
That's right.
The boy in the group has a bloody nose. And Persia comes out and asks what they were doing, and he says they're picking on us because they said we were weak. He's like, "That's right, you are weak." And she starts egging this boy on, just saying these things. And finally, he's had enough, and the boy charges Juliet, and he's a grade schooler, so he's not going to be able to do anything to her. Charges into her, doesn't knock her down. She says, "Good, there, see, you do have strength if you try." And she was egging him on to pull out their strength. And Romeo sees this entire thing, which makes him fall for her even harder.
Yep.
And he gets caught by the white dogs, or by the white cats. My bad.
Yeah, he's so enthralled with her and what she's doing that he just steps out from behind the corner and just starts approaching to watch closer, unaware that he's visible
that they see him, and he's like, "Wait a minute, why is everyone looking at me? Oh crap!"
He's like, he doesn't even realize he's been discovered until he's out in the open.
Mm-hmm. So that's when he runs away, and that's when the guys see him and they start making their plan to kidnap her. And they say that they see that after Jim, she always takes this path back to the dorms by herself, and so they're going to go ahead and grab her then. Cut to her walking through this rose garden, and kind of rose garden hedge mage type place. And she hears this noise of two people coming from behind, kind of this wheezing, panting noise. And she turns around and sees two of the guys with bags over their heads, plastic bags, with no eyes and no mouth hole. They forgot to cut eye holes in their own bags. And not only did they not stop and do it right away, realizing their mistake, they went forward with their plan with these terrible, terrible masks.
They did. And they can't see her.
Yeah, they can't see her. They're just kind of swinging blindly, and she, being as skilled as she is, takes them out super easily. But then the third guy sprays her from the bushes with some pepper spray.
Yeah.
They then grab her, pin her down, or pin her against the bushes. The guy with the lock earring pulls out a razor blade and cuts open her blouse, saying that we're going to win this with any method possible. And she starts kind of tearing up. And all of a sudden you hear Inuzuka, Romeo, and he charges up from behind and tackles her through the bush.
Yes, he does, leaving a hole through the bush as he goes.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, that altercation ends interestingly because she feels he immediately reads the situation as, oh no, she thinks I planned all this, that I'm part of all this, and that this is all.
She thinks I assaulted her.
He tries to rescue her, but realizes that the situation looks like he assaulted her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, real bad. Anyways, he freaks out, or she gets up, runs away in tears, holding her blouse closed. And he's like, crap, it's over. I have no chance now. I have no chance of getting together with her. And he comes, and he takes his time, but he finally ends up back at the dorms. And it's night, and the Three Stooges are outside waiting for him. And they're like, he sees them, and they all say, hey, Inuzuka, you shouldn't take someone else's prey. Yeah, we're going to teach you a lesson. But before any of them is able to finish their sentence, he has knocked all three down and is then sitting on one of them.
He's like, hey, we were talking.
You let a man finish what he has to say. Inuzuka then gets a note from Juliet, from an arrow that lands in one of their heads. This is not the first. Well, this is the first time, but it is not the last time an arrow is delivered. A message is delivered by arrow that ends up hitting somebody who's near Romeo. He gets the letter, and it's from Juliet. And it says, "Meet me at midnight at the fountain." And he's like, "Hey, is this a love letter?" No way. It's not possible. It's not a love letter. He goes out there and he sees Juliet out there with two swords. And she pretty much says, you don't take me seriously. I want you to fight me. And he's like, you probably don't see it the same way that I do, but I see us as rivals. And the fact that you don't take me seriously hurts me. So I want you to take me seriously and come at me with all your strength. Come at me with all your, well, she says honki in Japanese. It's kind of weird translation in English, like all your strength, but honki also means with your true feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Like honto no kimochi honki. It's kind of the same kanji. So, and that's when he's just like, okay, he realizes that his trying to protect her and all of this has made her think that he thinks she's weak and doesn't take her seriously. And so he finally just goes, okay, all right, I'll go ahead and do this seriously. I'll come at you with my true feelings. They both have swords. They clash. There's this cool camera spinning around them and stuff. They clash. Camera cuts between the two of them. Swords clash. A couple of different angles. A Van Damme at a couple of different angles with the exact same move. He says, "I love you. Go out with me."
Yes.
As soon as the swords clash and their faces are close to each other.
To which she then proceeds to beat the tar out of him for embarrassing her in the middle of the fight too.
No, they're evenly matched with the swords.
At
but
first,
she's freaking, huh?
At first,
yeah, well, yes.
But she pushes him into. She's able to push him into the fountain.
That's not beating the tar out of him, though. They're evenly matched with the sword, is what it's showing. And even when they're emotionally flustered like this, they're evenly matched. She starts freaking out. She's like, what? No, what are you talking about? Like, we're enemies. And he's like, I know. I've said this to myself over and over and over again. It's never going to work. It's not going to happen, but I can't help it. Do you know how often I've wished that we were from the same country just so I could be with you? I just want to walk with you. I want to be together with you. I want to have the strength to change the world for you, type thing. And to which she blushes. And that's when she pushes him into the fountain.
Yes.
The fight pretty much ended at that point. And she walks up to him in the fountain. She gets in the fountain with him, and she says, "Can you really do it? Can you really change the world?" And he says, yes, I can. And she's like, "Okay, then we can date."
Then I guess I can go out with you, but no one can ever find out.
Yeah, I guess I can go out with you, but no one can ever find out.
So he's the happiest guy in the world. Next day, on their way to school, he tries to talk to her on the way to school, and she won't give him the time of day. She actually tells him, "Don't ever talk to me.
Don't you dare talk. Yeah, don't ever talk to me," type thing.
And then he's completely crushed. Doesn't know how to feel. Like, was last night a dream? Did it even happen? What's going on here? Mm-hmm. And then he realizes that she has better spatial awareness than him, apparently, because he didn't see all the other people coming up on them, and if they were talking and chummy, as
Scott, everyone else I want to say her name is Nezuko. Let me go ahead and pull it up here real fast.
Nezuko is a young girl who's one of the black dogs who, I'm pretty sure that name's wrong, actually. Nezuko is...
yeah, that's the girl from
That's the girl with the bamboo rod gag in Demon Slayer.
But she's his childhood friend.
Yes, and she
Husky.
Mm-hmm. And she clearly has feelings for him, but he doesn't notice her in that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because he has feelings for Persia.
He's been in love with Persia ever since elementary school, so he doesn't see any of the girls but Persia.
Yeah.
Anyways, so she, Husky and Scott come up.
Yeah.
And instantly start clashing. That's when he realizes, wait, no, you didn't want to talk because there were people around. Wait, please, tell me that's why you didn't want to talk to me, please. And then he doesn't see her face, but she's got this sly grin on her face as she's walking off.
And that's how the first episode ends.
Yep.
Second episode begins the same way the first one did, in the two parties about to have a schoolyard brawl again. But this time, while Juliet is fighting with a blunted fencing foil, I swear it's a sword of some.
She has a collapsible rod, is what she uses to fight with.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, okay. It's a collapsible rod.
Well, she's wielding it like a fencing foil.
Yeah, I mean, you were right in that. She is, but it's a collapsible rod.
Well, so they charge each other, and Romeo grabs the rod, and with her still holding onto it, and runs.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's still busy fighting each other. They don't see that the two of them ran away from the battle, so they can have some alone time.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's a great shot, and that happens time and time again in the manga. Like, there's one time where they both grab hands like this, and like run off together like that. So, yeah,
challenge each other to a duel elsewhere.
Let's take our fight over here. Okay.
There's some great moments throughout the whole series where they, or at least throughout the first 3 episodes. I can't vouch for the whole series, but I'm sure it continues to happen, where they're trying to have a romantic moment, and then they notice other people nearby and immediately go into combat mode. The worst instance is, I think happens just about now, because they're talking and she's like, we can't do this. This is too out in the open. It's too easy to get caught. And just as a moment somebody comes up, he does an iron grip on her forehead and lifts her up off the ground.
He's about to say, but I want to spend time with you because I love you. He's about to say I, Japanese word for love. And so he's saying I, which doesn't really make sense in the subtitles. But then when I'm pretty sure it's Hasuki comes up again, he says Iron Claw and grabs her by the head and lifts her up. Yes. But yeah, no, like there are times where like they're talking and Juliet will throw him in the rose bushes when somebody comes up, or like he'll throw her in a pond type thing. Yes. So yeah, there's a lot of really funny moments like that.
And it's equal. It's totally equal between.
Oh yeah, no, they do it to each other. It's not one-sided.
She gets out of the iron grip of it pretty amazingly, because she does this whole circle kick backflip, clips him right in the jaw and gets herself out.
Oh yeah.
And so he's out for the count, and she's rescued and goes away. And the next scene is he's not entirely sure whether or not she likes him or not. He isn't 100% sure whether or not they have a relationship yet. Hasn't quite been official enough for him. Like, she said yes that night, but she's been cold to him the whole time. So he dons a hat, glasses, and a sneeze mask, and asks elementary school girls, so what do people in the West do for romantic interests?
That's how he learns about the rosary.
That's how he learns about the rosary. And so that shot is actually he's already up there on the window talking to her when it flashes back to, this is how he found out about the rosary thing. So he's up there on the second story window from the outside, trying to talk to her, and then as he's trying to give her this beautiful rosary, that's when Scott interrupts, and this becomes this awful.
Scott's a pervert and was spying on the women under the pretense of trying to protect Juliet from peeping Toms.
Yeah, Scott's awful.
Scott deserves everything he gets.
He does.
Everything.
Okay, and so what happens next is there's a great big. So Scott and a whole bunch of the White Cats are going to attack
the Black Dogs.
Are going to attack Romeo when the Black Dogs come to back him up, and so there's this huge clash between the two of them, and in the middle of the clash, Romeo accidentally breaks the rosary in his fist while he's trying to punch somebody, and when he sees it broken, he just walks right past them, completely dejected, like, "Hey, we're brawling here. Where are you going?" And he goes up to an 8-foot tall stone statue, which he grips around the ankles as if he were the Fortissimo of Ikebukuro, and just lifts the statue up as if it were nothing, and then proceeds to do this cyclone move, beating the tar out of
stone statue 4 times his size. It's massive.
And he just does this cyclone move, beating everybody. It's like, wait, Romeo, we're on your side. You're gonna hit us too. doesn't care. The rosary got broke. And it's everyone's fault.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Later that
And
night,
then
he's punished. He's being punished
mhm.
for that, so he has to cut grass with his bare hands, like by the handful, and fill up this basket by the riverside.
Mm-hmm.
And it's then that he's about to, out of frustration, throw the broken rosary into the river when Juliet comes out of the shadows and says, "You shouldn't throw you shouldn't throw garbage into the river. It's not good for it." And then he finds out what it was that he was trying to give her. And they eventually end up having their first date on a rowboat in the middle of the lake, in the middle of the river.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out she already had a rosary because she's a Westerner from a Catholic kind of upbringing. Mm-hmm. And it was a rosary that was given to her from her mother when she had first gotten accepted to this dorm, this private school.
She tells him that the reason rosaries are so important to us is because we use our rosary to pray every morning. So it's filled with our prayers. Mm-hmm. And we give them to someone who is important to us, to the most important person to us. But she has him close his eyes when they're out on the boat together. Uh-huh. And he's just like, wait, what's going on? I feel her moving. Wait, what? And he opens up his eyes, and she's got her arms around him, putting a rosary around his neck. And she immediately blushes and freaks out. And says, "You weren't supposed to open your eyes." And she goes to the other end of the boat, and he's not wearing a rosary. And she says, "That's my rosary." So yeah, she gives him her rosary that she's had ever since, she was 5 or 6, however old she was when she came here, and it's filled with her daily prayers of over 10 years. So,
but so he doesn't quite get the deeper meaning of it all. And so he says something a little insensitive, and she decides to grab the oars and that the date's over. She's going to go back. And he stands up and protests, like, what do you mean? What did I say? And he falls off the side of the boat. He says, help, I can't swim. He says, it'd do good for you to cool off your head. And she just rows away.
Uh-huh. She's great. Anyways.
She has no time to put up with him.
Well, that's her way of teasing him. Anyways.
So that's the first half of the first episode. The second half is when he talks her into dressing up like, in another Shakespearean trope, talks her into dressing up like a boy to go on a date with him. Mm-hmm. So that they don't recognize him. And Can
you play a man pretending to be a woman pretending to be a man? I don't know, but I can give it a go.
60-second theater, where we try unsuccessfully to pack in all the excitement of a Hollywood blockbuster into 60 seconds.
Today's movie.
Shakespeare in
Love. Can you pretend to be a man? Can you pretend to be a man pretending to be a woman pretending to be a man? I don't know, but I can give it a go.
Actually, Shakespeare in Love had one of the greatest scenes of all time, which is apparently Shakespeare had been wooing a particular lord's son's sister. Mm-hmm. And so that the lord's son felt the need to have he and his friends come with swords to defend his sister's honor. Meanwhile, the actors that are there with their swords are there to protect Shakespeare. Mm. For whatever reason, they just like him. They're there to protect him. And a sword fight breaks out in the middle of the Globe Theater, in the middle of a rehearsal. And in the middle of this beautifully choreographed, elegant sword fight, the shot that stole the entire scene was Jeffrey Rush, the stage manager, checking his script as the sword fight broke out around him. Like,
this isn't in the script. What?
Yeah. It doesn't even say anything. It's just Jeffrey Rush checking the script, utter confusion, stole the whole scene in that one shot.
Well, it's Jeffrey Rush. Of course he's going to steal the scene. That's what he does. Not on purpose, just by being who he is. Anyways, so
all truth there. And so
Juliet is dressed up as a boy, And it was like, hey, who's that cute middle schooler with you? Like, that's a really good looking boy. And he's like, oh, this is my relative, Julio. And she's like, wait, huh? So that's her name now, Julio. And
all
this
the
is the bit where
boys
Scott comes up and is like, oh wow.
All the boys suddenly feel incredibly attracted to him. Like, are we actually?
Dude, it's a guy. We can't feel that way towards a guy. I know, but our hearts just can't stop beating because she like blushingly said hello behind Romeo's, in a very cute way, blushingly said hello behind Romeo's arm.
So all of the black cats, boys and girls, instantly fall in love with this little boy and want to spend all day with them.
Well, they
don't even yourself. And so the date he has planned, he's got earmarked travel guide or like little post-it tabs in a travel guide of some kind that he's planned this big long date.
Mention it, but they're only allowed out once, I think, every 3 months.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's probably not every 3 months. I think it's shorter than that, but they have like one day where they can go out to the city. And they have to be back by a certain time. So he was really, really looking forward to this one day seeing the city with Juliet at his side. Yes. But anyways, this is when like the thugs instantly like her right away. The Three Stooges instantly like her and like, wow, they didn't even recognize me. That's incredible. And it's like, yeah, maybe we can really get away with this. And then as soon as they say that, Scott says, Juliet sama or Persia sama. And this is a scene where he runs up and starts sniffing. They're freaking out. And he's like, wait a minute. I thought I smelled Juliet. I thought I smelled Lady Persia. But all I see are two stupid black dogs. Persia sama. Persia-sama, where are you? I thought we could go out to the city together today. Persia-sama.
So he's hyper creepy, being able to identify her location by smell, and then.
Well, and Juliet's just like, do I really smell that bad?
Yeah, Juliet is now self-conscious about her own odor, but in reality, when you think about it, that means that really. Scott is the most dog-like among the cats.
Okay. Anyway, so they then go out to the city, and all the black cats want to spend time. Black dogs, my bad. Yeah. All the black dogs want to spend time with Julio. They think that Julio is great, and so Romeo is constantly trying to get away from them, and they're just following wherever they go. Everywhere they go, like they try to go to a restaurant, and that restaurant's closed. Reserved through the entire day, so they can't eat by the sea. So they go get ramen. They do some other things as well. Huh? Well, and
too spicy for her.
Yeah, it's too spicy for her. But she's wondering how on earth, they can just eat it so casually. But finally, he finds a place where they can be alone, and it's a haunted house. And so he takes Julio in there by herself, or with just her. And she instantly freaks out. Apparently, she's not good with haunted houses or ghosts and things like that. A zombie pops out, and he shouts at the zombie, "Hey, you, we're finally alone. Give us some peace." To which Juliet then punches both the zombie and Romeo because she's just freaking out over the fact that it's a zombie. She screams, zombie, and punches both of them because their faces are pressed together right now. And then she just runs out. And he goes after her. And he can't find her, and he thinks that she now hates him, that this was the worst date ever, and he's just ruined everything. So he goes over to the docks and just starts moping. The Three Stooges find him and say, "Hey, look, it's Romeo. He is, he's
the guy who stole our prey earlier.
He's the guy who stole our prey. Let's go ahead and get him back. This is a perfect time to strike him when he's down." So they go over and they kick him, and the guy with the hold on, I've got his name right here. I keep saying that, but he is Maru.
Maru, okay.
Maru, Chizuru Maru, who's actually the same voice actor as Gintoki from Gintama. I saw. But anyways, he then starts pushing Romeo's head under the water with his foot, because Romeo can't swim, as we revealed in previously.
Yes.
And then Julio comes and says, "Hey, get your foot off of his head. He may be an idiot, but he's still an extremely important person to me." And Maru's just like, oh, yeah, well, guess, like, I don't care. Why don't you fight me? And he charges him, to which Juliet then ducks under him and flips him over. He gets a good look at her face and realizes that Julio's a woman
Uh-huh.
as she flips him over herself.
Yeah, she judo flips him and he lands flat on his back on a brick road. Cobbled brick road. And the city has a very European Mediterranean feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
That they're at. So and he's just completely winded by this attack.
Mm-hmm.
Then a little later, Romeo and Juliet are talking, and Romeo is wondering if she hates him now because she ran away on the date and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Oh no, just the wig was starting to really itch, and I needed to go to the bathroom and scratch my hair."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's like, oh, no, that wig was super itchy. So, yeah, and it's a shot of her sitting on a toilet, scratching her head and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's what it was. Yeah, it's like, wait, did you think that I hated the date? He's like, yeah. Like, oh, what's a date to you? You know, and he says these things, and she's like, a date's like getting to know the other person type thing. Like, and I saw you like I've never seen you before.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about all the things that they did that she enjoyed doing, and she's looking forward to going on another date with him.
Okay.
But as soon as they're, yeah, I'm pretty sure they get caught at the end again, and he then grabs her and throws her or something. I forget. And she insults, and she says, "You're an idiot." I'm trying to remember. Anyways.
Okay.
So episode 3 starts with the two of them talking, and it's supposed to be their and somebody notices Julio as they walk away from the restaurant that's been reserved for a day. It's a girl with platinum hair sitting up there. Seems to be pretty important. She's wearing a tiara. Anyways, and she notices Julio. Like the camera zooms up on Julio's face as though she's walking away. And so in episode 3, it starts with Romeo and Juliet meeting underneath a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And
didn't they establish
Romeo wants to says it's in a couple of days. It's going to be our 1-month anniversary. I really want to spend it with you. And she at first is like, "You're an idiot. We shouldn't do that." But it's only a date. But then, like, she admits that she wants to spend it with him as well. And just as they're about to, well,
they don't have any major plans set for it. Just that in 3 days is the day, and I will make sure my calendar's free.
Yeah, I'll make sure my calendar's
is what she commits to.
They because they don't. They both know that they can't really commit to a time when to meet, just that they want to meet and do something that day.
Right.
And they're about to hold hands when both Scott and Husky run up saying, "There's an emergency, we need your help." And as soon as they hear them, they both start grabbing heads and start ramming heads against each other to make everyone think that they were fighting in secret. But it's Scott says that
was something else that happened in the previous episode that really needed to come up. What was the name of the childhood girlfriend, female friend who's wants to be in a romantic relationship with Romeo?
Husky. But the thing is, the guys are in love with Husky. Yeah. All of them.
When Husky sees that Romeo is with Julio, she now thinks Romeo might be swinging that way, which is why he's never shown interest in her. And so Juliet notices that she has this misinterpretation. Like, I think you may have just exchanged one misunderstanding for another.
Yeah, I think you may have just exchanged one. Yep. That was a pretty great gag too. But yeah, and you notice that all the guys are swooning over Husky because she's just this great, cheerful, happy-go-lucky girl.
Yeah.
And all the girls hate the guys for only focusing on Husky. Because no one actually hates her. She's just too great of a girl. Anyways, so this episode, the princess comes in, and it's revealed that the princess is the one who noticed Julio, and she.
Yeah, so we caught a glimpse of her at the end of episode.
That's what I was saying. She was the one with the white hair and the tiara.
Yes, who was in the cafe that had the entire place had been booked out.
Yep. She booked the entire place just for her.
Yeah.
And she's the crown princess of the country. Mm-hmm. And she's the same age as Juliet, and it's revealed they're childhood friends. But she's also called the Tyrant Princess. And all of the white cats are afraid of her.
Can I tell what she goes
over to Scott and says, "Scott,
no,
you do it because you hate him so much."
So she turns over to Scott and says, "There you are, Scott. Tell me a joke, and if it's not funny, I'm going to strike you." This, "Princess, I am not worthy, but here we go. My glasses," and she just punches him outright. I didn't even finish. "Oh, your existence is just too tedious.
Oh, your existence is just too boring to justify," type thing.
Like, yeah. She's not a likable princess, but Scott has it coming. So you can't really blame.
Love her. But that's because I've read the entire series and I know her arc and what she does and things like that. And I'll fill you in on some of that stuff after we're done recording. I don't want to spoil anything for our listeners. But
in this episode that features her, we see a very cruel side of her.
Oh yeah.
And so after she decks Scott,
I honestly feel like it was toned down for the anime. Like it was a lot crueler in the manga. Okay. So yeah.
After she decks Scott, she turns over and notices that the black doggies are not giving her the royal procession.
She demanded that everyone greet her, and they're not greeting her.
And so he, so she challenges them, and Romeo immediately responds with a punch. So he goes in to punch her, and she just whispers at him, "I know you're dating Juliet."
And he stops his fist an inch from her face.
An inch from her nose. And then she pulls out from her breast pocket a picture saying, "I even know about the time that you disguised her as a boy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want me to tell anyone, you will be my servant right now."
Mm-hmm.
To which he falls back as if struck.
Mm-hmm.
Glance back like, what did she do? Because all anybody else saw was her reaching for reaching up into the chest area, and so like, did she flash him and he fell backwards? What's going on here?
It's like, is he really that taken in by the size of her boobs? And she's fairly well endowed. Endowed.
Endowed. That's kind of a gag, is that she is bigger there than Juliet. And so so much of this episode features Juliet wondering if Romeo prefers larger chested women because of how quickly he abandons her over and over again and how much he seems to be doting on. But because
she notices something's up, because there's a whistle, and and Char has told Romeo that every time I blow this whistle, you are immediately to come to my side and do what I tell you to do.
Yep. By the third time I blow it, if you're not here, I will expose your secret.
Mm-hmm.
And so she'll blow it once, and he has to immediately start going before she blows it the third time.
Mm-hmm. And so he's trying to tell Juliet about what's going on, but every time he's with Juliet, every time he's with her, the whistle goes off.
We find out at the end of the episode that she has very high-powered, what appear to be opera glasses.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no,
so she can spy on them from across the entire campus from where she's at, and does. And
she is doing everything she can to interrupt their relationship. and she
She has various requests every time she blows it.
has
Sometimes
him do things, and the black dogs think that he is betraying them. And in one of the requests, she asks for deer. She's like, "I would like to eat some deer. Go hunt some deer for me." And what happens?
the next thing we see, he's topless, wearing a bandana, hunting deer with a rope, and kind of shaking his hips enticingly to try to get the deer to come close. Meanwhile, Juliet has been standing by a gazebo basically all day. She starts sneezing like she's catching a cold because of how cold it's been getting, and she's just standing there waiting for him to come back. And he comes back with 3 deer stuck in him.
Mm-hmm.
One out of his head, by the antlers of these deer, and they're just floating in there next to him as they're stuck in his head and his sides as he went deer hunting and successfully caught 3 of them, as it were, and he's got the rope around his own neck. And he tries to explain again what's going on and what's happening when but he's able to shake off the deer, and the deer just stand around. And then Char blows the whistle again. He's like, "I'm sorry, I really have to go," and he leaves.
But he says, "I'm doing this to protect you."
Mm-hmm. And he leaves, and Char's just like, "I just wanted to see your face again."
Mm-hmm. Oh, nothing. I just want to see your face, and it's in a room filled with other white cats.
Yeah, and he decides that he needs to find a way of destroying her, so he's just going to play along.
I wish I'd taken note of it, but Juliet says something to him while they're outside, and that gives him the energy, the courage to
keep this up.
To keep this up. And she says, "Whatever you're doing, just please make sure that you're free by our anniversary." Mm-hmm. And he decides that he needs to dig up some dirt on the princess in order to get out of this.
Yes.
And so one day, for the next day or so, he does all of her commands with a smile on his face,
including walking on his hands and knees while she rides his back side saddle, mm-hmm. To and from classes.
Well, and interestingly enough, during one of those times, she's saying, "Get me to the dining hall, otherwise we'll be late for dinner," as she's drinking tea on his back. And he starts saying, "Yes, look, I'm going as fast as I can. I'll be faster if I carry you on my back, though." And she's like, "No, you're a dog. You need to be on your back." And then he says, "Turn around right now." And he's like, "Wait, what? We're going to be even late for dinner." She's like, "I don't care. Turn around right now." And he looks up and he sees Juliet walking with another person. And before he
looks up, she tries to steer him by grabbing his head and twisting his neck in an awkward position. Like, my head doesn't steer that way.
That's right. She does that, and then that's how he ends up seeing Juliet. And then he says something, I forget what it was, but it upsets the princess, and she ends up kicking him in the face with her heel.
Yeah.
And so he realizes that the princess, there's got to be some dirt on her, or maybe he can find the photo. And so he breaks into their room after faking a call from the principal's office.
Yes.
With a very, very fake voice. It's very obviously not an adult's voice on that.
And when he breaks into her room, he has a green handkerchief over his head, tied under his nose, in the most stereotypical bandit way possible. I mean, I've seen that in anime. I've seen that in Tenchi Muyo. I've seen that in anime.
Oh yeah, no, it's
20, 30 years earlier.
It's a cultural thing in Japan. When you are a bandit, that's how you disguise yourself.
So I guess in America, it is, the bandit has. We do the cowboy thing where you have the bandana disguising your nose and mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they do it to cover their head or something. I'm not sure why.
I've never looked into why. I've just kind of accepted that's part of Japan's culture.
But yeah, it's Happosai from what's he from? Inuyasha.
I don't know. I never watched Inuyasha. Well, I watched a bit of it. Just it wasn't for me. But anyways,
no.
she breaks into her room.
Hopposide's from Ranma. My mistake.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah,
anyways,
right.
they he gets into her room and he starts searching, and then he hears the door open. And he hears the voice of the princess saying, "Oh, what a naughty little boy. You thought you could break into my room while I was away, huh? If I find you, I'll scream for the teachers, and you'll be expelled right away. And that will definitely put an end to your relationship with Juliet." And she starts looking for him, and she looks under the table, under the bed, in the closet, and he's not anywhere. And she's like, "Oh, crap, there's only one other place he can be." And he starts laughing. And where is he?
It turns out that there is a secret passage behind the mirror to, there's this, very large, I want to say a poster-sized hanging mirror on the wall that there happens to be a secret compartment behind. And in that secret compartment is all of these photos. They're on the ceiling and on the walls, and it's just covering every inch. And it's just secret photos that have been taken of Juliet, of Persia. It's like, what have you? And he just starts laughing at her secret that he knows now, and she asks, "How did you find this?" How did he find it?
He was trying to dive for the window, and he mistook the mirror for the window and just ran right into it. And it happened to open it up. He was able to find her secret shrine to Juliet.
So, sheer dumb luck.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gag here. In the words of the great Maggie Smith.
Uh-huh. And so he has these. He's about to say what will happen if Juliet finds these photos, and she's like, "Please, please don't. I can't stand it if she learns about this. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if she learns about this. Please, just keep this a secret." And it's revealed that this is when we learned that they're childhood friends, and Juliet is the most important person to Char, and so much that Char's fallen in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
But she can never reveal these feelings to Juliet.
Yeah.
And that's when a knock comes on the door.
Yeah.
And Juliet is talking to Char and saying, "Hey, I'm going to come in." And Char's like, "No, don't come in," which freaks out Romeo because he's now just learned that they're roommates. Char and Juliet are roommates. And so Char is trying to stop Juliet from getting into the room. Just like standing in her way, moving back and forth, weaving back and forth until Juliet's kind of like, "Come on, I got to get through." And so she just goes under her arm. And Char freaks out, turns around, and all the pictures on the floor that Romeo had just spread out there.
Yeah, he had knocked out a pile of photos when he had stepped out, and that pile's now all gone.
And the pile's now all gone. It's completely clean. And she's just like, What is your problem?" Juliet says to Char. And Juliet starts brushing her hair and looking nice, and she's got a nice smile on her face. And Char's just like, "So, what are you so happy about? What's that smile for?" She's like, "Oh, I've got a promise. I mean, I'm just heading out. Bye.
I have a promise to keep. Appointment to make.
An appointment to keep. Bye. See you soon."
And she's just absolutely glowing.
Super happy. And that's Romeo steps out from the mirror again.
So it turns out he had managed to grab up all the photos and hide back behind the mirror again in the time that she was opening up the door.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But anyways, they anyways, it's getting kind of late tonight.
It is.
We're recording a bit later tonight because I wasn't able to watch the episodes within a decent time. That's 100% on me. But anyways,
but that's about the episode.
She
said finalizes with the two of them talking. Like, he understands her. Says, "I know how it feels to not be able to tell someone how you feel. Tell someone you love how you feel."
Well, she asks, "Why did you help me? Why did you help me?" And she said, "That's what he says. He says because I know what it's like to not be able to tell someone how you feel."
Also, if she knew, I couldn't blackmail you with it.
Also, if she knew, I couldn't blackmail you, which she gets a little, anger vein.
Oh, you're right.
It's like, oh, you're right. And she then says, I know that she cares about you, but this relationship is going to hurt her.
Like, yeah. That it's just always going to end up in conflict, and that she doesn't approve of the relationship. She doesn't want it to see it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, but the episode ends with, well, now one of the problems with streaming this on Amazon is that it wanted to cut to the next episode too soon. There is an after credit scene that features the two of them going out for the first time, going out on their 1 month anniversary date. And then it cuts, and then a next time video. But the autoplay on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, the autoplay on Amazon cuts. Like, it's annoying. I didn't get to watch the credits once because the autoplay kept getting in the way. Anyway. Yeah, anyways, what's your final verdict on Romeo and or not Romeo and Juliet, on Boarding School Juliet?
I think I'm going to continue giving it a try. I mean, you've said a lot of great things about the manga, but the first 3 episodes are funny enough that I can give it a good try for the rest.
It's great. I don't know if I'm going to watch more of the manga or anime. I might. I love the manga. I thought it was just great. It was just an absolute delight whenever a new chapter came up. Yeah, I love it. If I find the time, I'll probably watch more of the anime, but it's not a top priority for me just because I know where it is. Anyways, that's it for Boarding School Juliet, and this next week it is my turn.
Yep.
And for High Schools with a Twist, I went with School Babysitters. It is a slice of life high school comedy. Ryuichi and Kotaro are brothers who lost their parents in an airplane crash. They're taken in by the chairman of Morinomiya Academy, who lost her son and daughter-in-law in the same crash, on one condition. Ryuichi has to babysit the kids at the daycare room in the school. The room was opened to help school teachers who had kids to take care of, but it suffers from lack of staff until Ryuichi becomes the first member of the babysitter club formed to solve that problem.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think you know what? I think it should be fun. I was trying to find a high school that has more of a supernatural twist to it, but none of them really kind of floated my boat enough to kind of pick it for next week. So I wanted to
we've seen a whole bunch of supernatural one for our show already. I mean, our first season, the first season featured Assassination Classroom and the Railgun and Index franchise that kind of really fit into this sort of thing. But yeah, we'll go ahead and give School Babysitters a try for next week. We'll see how that goes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it for 3 episodes in. It is now time for recommendation of the week, and it is your pick.
It is my pick. And my pick this week is the movie My Hero Academia 2 Heroes. Recently picked up the Blu-ray of this video for my son's birthday, and we were able to watch it last night, and it's a lot of fun. It's really good. It has all the same feel of the show. Season 3 of My Hero Academia ends with All Might and Midoriya. All Might inviting Midoriya on a plane trip to a place called Island, where a whole bunch of superheroes and scientists live to help develop quirk enhancing or support technology. And so that's not to get into it too much, but it introduces a new character, Melissa, and it delves a little bit into All Might's backstory. Apparently, while he was in America, he had a sidekick named David Shield, who he rescued from a burning building when they first met, but All Might's shirt had burned off in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And so David was the one who built all of his costumes that can withstand all the things that he does. So he doesn't lose everything every time he fights.
That makes sense. And I'm
And
glad
so,
they actually brought that into it as well, because one of the most ridiculous things about superhero comics for the longest time was, with like, yeah, Superman's invulnerable, but his suit isn't,
right. Right.
So
It depends, and it depends on what happened to Superman, because his suit got pretty torn up in his fight with Doomsday in the
mm-hmm.
the comics.
Yeah, I mean, like earlier.
But that's because Superman got torn up by Doomsday too. So, but no, yeah. So that's something that comes up in the show, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of action. I loved it. My son loved it. My daughter, who really loves My Hero Academia, wasn't home that night to watch it with us, and so she's a little salty.
Yeah.
But such is life.
Yep.
Anyway, she'll get a chance eventually, I'm sure.
Gotcha.
And apparently, it's like one of the big reasons I wanted to see it is it does seem to be the between seasons 3 and 4. Like it's like an insert adventure between seasons 3 and 4, and season 4 is coming out this October.
Yep.
So next month.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for recommendation of the week. And so check out My Hero Academia, the movie, 2 Heroes, if you haven't already. I still haven't seen it, so I need to probably borrow that from you sometime. And it's now time for Creator Shoutout, and it was my turn this week. And this week, I discovered a kind of adorable webcomic. It is called this. I'm pretty sure the artist's name's. I don't know if there's a name for the comic itself, but it's done by Cindabel Collective, and it's this great series about a devil and an angel. And I showed you that one. It's the one where like the devil and angel are eating lunch together.
Is that the one where she face plants?
It's a little bit. Well, it's a he. The devil has a little bit of rice on his cheek, and the angel comes up and kisses his cheek to get the rice off of his face, and he blushes and then slams his face into his bowl and comes back up with a bunch of food on it with this grin on his face, and she's just kind of smiling and blushing back. So it's just an entire collection of just those comics of a romance between a devil and an angel, and it's super adorable. Another great one, the angel's trying to fly a kite, but she just can't do it. It's just not working for her. And the devil's just like, well, why don't you try a different kite? And so she goes through all these different kites. She tries like a larger kite, a smaller kite, a Chinese dragon kite, all these things, and it doesn't work. And finally, the devil off screen just says, here, try this last kite. And she tries it, and she just has this big grin on her face, and it cuts back, and it's the devil flying up in the air attached to a screen for her. But it's revealed the reason that she wasn't able to fly the kite is because she was flying it in the wrong direction. There's a bunch of other people flying kites, and they're going the other way. But anyways, it's an adorable comic. Cindabel Collective. We're going to have links to the artist's folio art and their Instagram. I couldn't find anything else for them in social media. But anyways, go ahead and give them a check. Give them a look if you guys are interested in that sort of thing. All right. Well, that's it for another Whittaker Weekly. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. If you listened on YouTube, please feel free to like this episode and subscribe to our channel. If you like what we do and want to support us, please share our channel with your friends. Where can they find us on social media? Our site, WhitakerWeekly.com, currently has the links to our Facebook page, Twitter account, and YouTube channel. We encourage all our listeners to follow us on the social media platform of their preference. And if there's one we're not on yet, please reach out to us on one of the ones we've mentioned, and we'll broaden our scope to include you. All right. Well, I've been Andrew. I've been Lee. And this has been Whittaker Weekly. You guys have a great week.